guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited about this vlog specifically. But excuse my hair, excuse my cut, everything. I'm at work. Listen, this is not for me to get famous or to get paid or anything like that at all. This is actually just a request for a friend that I said I would do this, so I'm gonna do it. But I just wanted basically to rant on this subject with Barcelona this year and my thoughts on the game against Liverpool. Now, for those that know me know I was a Liverpool fan before I was a Barca fan, and I'm gonna admit that. But I've grown to love Barcelona more and also keep my ties with Liverpool. Now, obviously, as a fan of football, I love watching all football. But I did not want this to happen because I knew what would happen. I knew what was at stake. And unfortunately it did. Barcelona got knocked out by Liverpool in the aggregate. And it happened again what happened last year in Rome with Barcelona. You know, and there's been a lot of fingers being pointed, and I don't think that's fair. I've heard some crazy rumors about people like Philippe Coutinho getting transferred when that's absolutely ridiculous. So today we're going to discuss that. I'm going to try to discuss it as best as I can. To begin with, Liverpool has always been the side that has fought for titles all throughout the history of the club. And this was just another act upon it. Adding on to that is somebody as special as Jurgen Klopp. I mean, his time at Mainz was great. His time at Dortmund was even better. And I knew once he came to Liverpool, it was going to be that much better. I knew eventually he was going to bring Liverpool back to the glory days of having Champions League football, first of all. Second of all, fighting for a title of the Premier League, which we desperately need. And I know we will get it soon. It's just a matter of time. But he did that. And then, you know, you have a side like Barcelona who have the greatest player in the world. There's no comparison. Don't try to compare him to somebody, because that somebody is way older, okay? Is way older. And by the time that person retires, Messi is still going to continue to do what he's doing and surpass by a large amount whatever this other known player is called. Now, I don't want to take the credit away from him. He's a great player, the other one, but there's no comparison. He shouldn't even be mentioned in the same sentence as Messi. Those of us that know football, that watch football, know what I'm talking about. Those of us that are just fans gonna have a hard time understanding that. So, jumping right into it, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it that Barcelona lost the Liverpool game? Is it the players' fault? Is it the board's fault? Is it the coach's fault? Whose fault is it? There has to be somebody to blame. Somebody has to be to blame because we lost. We did not win. When we win, there's also somebody to blame. Whose fault is it? Who prepared the game the best? Who outshone themselves? Who was the star of the game? Who produced them more? Those are all the questions. But the question for today, and I had to take a few days to ventilate what had happened, is whose fault is it? Whose fault is the loss? I'm going to say it right now. It's clear the fault for this loss, for this defeat, so embarrassing for us culés, is Ernesto Valverde. That's whose fault it is. He is a coach who does not have creativity in his scheme, in his tactics of football. He does not have any type of creativity of attacking, any type of creativity of defending, because you can get creative when defending. That's why there's multiple formations that you can play off. But this guy has no type of scheme or plan of how he wants his team to play football, let alone him having a team. Barcelona is not his team, clearly. He's not making the decision that he should, therefore he's not in control, meaning it's not his team. So, just to go over a little recap of Barcelona's season, 2018-2019, all together they have 102 goals scored as a team. Now, 86 of those are coming from the La Liga competition. I'm not going to mention La Copa del Rey because that's a whole different competition that is absolutely, it's unnecessary to discuss. It's just a competition of who can rise to the toppest and to the top of the pyramid and fighting against lower teams. I'm just not going to discuss that. But just going over La Liga season. So we have 34 games played by Messi. He has 32 goals, with Suarez right behind him. 21 goals, 32 games played. Dembele, 8 goals, 29 games played. And then guess who? Coutinho. He has 5 goals with 22 games played. Now, here's my biggest thing. In 33 games that they have played, 34, I want to say, in total, 34 to 35. They have conceded 34 goals. That means per game, they're at least getting 1 goal. At least at minimum. That is something that is not acceptable in the Barcelona history. I don't think I've ever seen a more terrible team or a more terrible performance from a team in Barcelona's history since I've watched them. And I'm just gonna be that up front. I mean, they aren't playing football. They aren't teaching us how to play football, which is what they were doing when Guardiola was there. There was a sense of people needing to adapt. I could see coaches adapting to the way that Barcelona played, not to play like them, but to try and defend them. See, Guardiola came in and changed the scheme of how things were played. And then the even harder test were the coaches that followed him, like Tito Villanova and like Tata Martino, right? Which they had trouble doing. But even so, they managed to have some similar style to what Guardiola had and continued to play good football. And then Luis Enrique came and had to change the scheme a little bit because it was getting boring, first of all. Second of all, it was a football that everybody had already adapted to within the X amount of years from Guardiola leaving to Luis Enrique taking over. So he had to come up with a new tactic of how to attack, which he did. And he had the help of the board by hiring Neymar, or getting Neymar. On top of that, they get Suarez. Suarez comes in, and they win the treble. Perfect. That was brilliant. So what happened in that time span? What happened is Barca renewed their strength. They renewed their team. They renewed the chemistry. Okay, they brought people that were explosive. All right, and that's what helped us get that treble. Now, I was talking about the goals conceded, which were 34, and those are games in La Liga. Why do I bring La Liga into the Champions League result? Here's why. Because La Liga is what prepares us for what would be something as big as the Champions League, okay? Now, how we perform in La Liga, it's not how we're going to perform in the Champions League, but it is what's going to show how we're going to perform in the Champions League. So, here's what happened. Over the years, over these past 2 years, I kept telling all my friends, everybody that asked me, Barcelona is not playing good football. And all these analysts, all these people, analytics that have talk shows and people from ESPN, all of them were just amazed at what Messi was doing and this and that, and saying how Barca's gonna win the Champions League, and saying how there was nobody that was near Barcelona. I kept telling people they're not playing good football, and we never faced a hard opponent. We never did this whole year. We never faced a tough opponent. Real Madrid wasn't a tough opponent. If anything, Real Madrid right now is sinking. I don't know how they're going to pick up because Hazard's not the answer. And we can talk about that blog later on, so let me know what you think. Okay, but, beating Real Madrid 3 times, that's not... That was nowhere near of what the preparation that we needed for this game against Liverpool, against a team that knows how to play, against a team that knows how to defend, that knows how to create. And it kept on happening all year long. And if you're close to me, I kept telling you, Barcelona is not playing good football. We're Messi dependent. So the year that Suarez and Neymar joined, it becomes a revolution because they're a powerhouse attacking. Okay, so now moving on to today's day and what happened in this Champions League final, because my biggest thing is I'm so embarrassed to say I am a fan of Barcelona, because people want to blame the players for the situation that we're in, and you know what? If we had to break it down to percentage and 100% out of that, I would have to say that the percentage would be like 10%, to be honest, and that's my personal intake on that. Why? Because maybe they should have been more aware of the last goal. Now, here's my thing. Here's my biggest thing. Okay, those players don't need to be taught how to make a pass, how to take a shot, how to think, because they're already professionals. They've been taught by way better coaches than the one that's at hand at Barcelona right now. The only job that Ernesto Valverde had was to mentally prepare them for what was at hand. He had to mentally tell them, inspire them, and it was just something that couldn't be done. It was something that couldn't be achieved. As a coach, there was nothing that he did to push these boys, to inspire them into not committing the same mistake. I'll ask you guys this. When a child is misbehaving, do you blame the child for misbehaving, or do you blame the parent who should know better and should know how to raise their kid? Now, I'm not saying that Valverde is these people's daddies, and they are grown men. What I'm saying is his only job is to mentally prepare these guys, tactically prepare these guys for what is at stake, and he could not do that. He could not take this at hand. All these people saying how Coutinho should be sold, this guy, Shaka from ESPN, who I think shouldn't even be in the same room as most of those guys, but he's there, talking about Philippe after the first year and a half for him being there should be sold. If we go back and look at the stats, I would have to disagree strongly, because off of talent we already know Coutinho should be at Barcelona. But in the stats, the person that's leading the team in goals, his name is Lionel Messi. Okay? He has played 10 games and he scored 12 goals. I bet you won't guess who's second. Not Suarez, not Rakitic, not Dembele, but Coutinho. 12 games played, 3 goals for this year in the Champions League. A position he shouldn't even be in to begin with, and that's my biggest frustration with Valverde. Because as a coach, when you receive a player before what he has done, you take a look at where he's been, where he was when you got him, and where you can best push him to become a better version of himself at the club that he's at now. And before, Coutinho had failed at all these places, Espanyol, Inter, because they kept thinking he was an attacking player destined to always score, and that's not his position. He exploded so well at Liverpool because he had other people in charge of that, and his only job was to create, which was the main reason why I heard the board saying they were bringing him over, was to take over Iniesta's spot to create. Last time I remembered, Iniesta was not a goal-scoring machine. He was just a person that would create. And now he's put Coutinho in a position where he needs to score always, and now it's getting to his head, and he's thinking he's always got to score, and when he doesn't score, for some reason he's a bad person. So then, even on top of that, even on the coach putting him in a position where he shouldn't be, in the Champions League, guess who has the most assists? Jordi Alba. 11 games played, 15 assists. I bet you won't guess who's second. It's Coutinho, tied with somebody like Messi and somebody like Suarez. 10 games played, 3 assists. Statistically, he's doing what he's supposed to do. Even more. He's second in scoring goals for the team in the Champions League. Now, maybe he might have given the ball up a couple of times. Maybe he was out of his head. Sure. He had a bad game. Sure. I'll take that. But for him to even be mentioned into being sold is absolutely ridiculous. That conversation should not be anywhere near of discussing for the board. If Barcelona go through with this thought of him being sold, it's going to be absolutely disappointing. I'm going to be very, very, very disappointing. Same thing's going to happen that happened when we lost Neymar. I will say this, I'm not a Neymar fan anymore, but we need him. We need him bad. And we needed him when he left. I know deep down he knows he made a mistake. I know he wish he could come back. But I'm not a fan of him anymore. Now, we do the same thing with Philippe. He's going to leave. He's going to shine somewhere else because they're going to know logic. He's supposed to be in the midfield, not up front. See, that's my biggest thing with this coach. These coaches come to Barcelona and they try to it's almost like they try to fight the ghosts of Guardiola. Try to create like their own style. No, that's what's so tough. So many people in this sport, in this industry, try to reinvent the sport, recreate something that's already. The sport is so simple, and people just try to do more than what they have at hand, and that's what's hurting us as a team, as a follower, as a fan. I'm telling you guys right now, my biggest thing is they keep trying to reinvent the wheel, and it's not working. Philippe is not a forward. He's an attacking midfielder. Put him there. That's why today I asked for Ernesto Valverde's head. He needs to be gone. He needs to be out of there. He should be nowhere near. I mean, if you guys think about the last couple of games, his number one substitution was Carlos Alenya. And then I hear the commentators, which absolutely leaves me astonished, because they're supposed to know about this sport. This is how they make a living. Carlos Alenya? People, somebody named Carlos Alenya should never even put a jersey called Barcelona on, ever. Should never even been close. Sure, he's a good player. He has no talent, has no skill, but decent little player. But he should nowhere near begin as more minutes than somebody like Malcolm. And I'm not saying this because of the Brazilian in me. I'm saying this because Malcolm is at least a player who can create danger, and not somebody like Carlos Alenya. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I told everybody that I spoke to about this, I told them, look, Barcelona's going to face the toughest team they've ever faced all year long. And here's the crazy part. Barcelona won the game the first leg, but Liverpool actually beat them. And if you know what I'm saying, you'll understand, and you'll see that Liverpool beat them both games. It's just they lost the first one, but they won the second one without their superstars. And we're supposed to have the best player in the world. Now, I'm not blaming it on Messi, and I'm telling you why. Messi literally carried us this whole year. Because of him, we won La Liga. Because of him, we're probably going to win the Copa del Rey. Because Valencia just got smashed by Arsenal. And if Arsenal can do it, I'm sure Messi can. Not Barcelona, Messi. Here's my thing. I told multiple friends, I said, if Messi decides to take a night off in these 2 legs, can we really blame him? Yeah, he's supposed to be the best player in the world. Yeah, he's supposed to stand up to these big moments, but can we blame him? Because he's literally drained. He does unhumane stuff, but he is human. He does stuff that humans don't normally do, but he is made out of skin, human tissue, and he has bones, he has feelings, he hurts. So he did carry us this whole year, but he decided to take off, and hey, that's fair. That's when the rest of the team's supposed to step up. That's when you're supposed to have your Wijnaldums, your Origis. Origi has got the same amount of minutes as nearly Prince Boateng has had all year long in Liverpool. I think I've seen him come on maybe 4 times. That's the difference. The difference is the coach. Jurgen knew how to prepare his players. Jurgen knew how to motivate his. I mean, all the players are saying that the most valuable player of that night was Jurgen. He told him the story about Dortmund. What story could Valverde have told his players? I bet he was in the locker room saying, "Oh, we're not gonna think about last year." No, you have to think about last year because last year is real. Last year happened. I've seen by newspaper AS from Madrid that Barca's trying to go after Griezmann. I think that's the #1 target we should go. And I don't see Barca's always stingy with their money. I'm saying right now to you, directors, board, anybody from Barcelona, if you guys can listen to this video, we need Griezmann. It's a must. He has to come. Dembele has to leave. Coutinho has to stay. I'm telling you why Dembele has to leave. He is young, but his injuries haven't helped him. Now you can say, "Oh, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that." I mean, listen. He's gonna do his good, but we need something now. Messi's getting older, and Dembele is definitely not taking over Messi's spot in Barcelona. He's not taking over that legacy. So we need replacements now. Dembele has to move on. I could see him in the Premier League, some type of Manchester United. He might be hurt there all the time as well. But I would love a trade of like Firmino and Dembele. That would be absolutely brilliant. With Suarez, I like Suarez that he bleeds for the jersey a little bit. I like that. The fight he has in him, I think, is great. I do think his time is coming up. Maybe his time already came up. I don't have anything big against him. But, I mean, if we go back to the stats, he has the same amount of goals in the Champions League as Rafinha. You guys remember him, right? Rafinha, number 12 for Barcelona. Yeah, he's been hurt the whole year. Suarez has the same amount of goals as him in the Champions League. So, they're talking about Matthias the Light. He needs to come. We need to have him. Piqué, couple of goals on the Anfield night was his fault. What else? I've heard of Richarlison. We don't need Richarlison. He's not. See, that's my biggest thing. Even when we bought Andres Gomes back when he was with Valencia, I thought to myself, did we buy him because he was good, or did we buy him because Madrid made noise that they were going to buy him? See, Richarlison, I think, is a good player, and he's also Brazilian. Which means he's going to have a little bit of flair to him, like all the other Brazilians do. But he's just not. That's not the caliber we need. And he's having a great season. We need a higher caliber player, impact players. Yeah, we need reinforcements, and Valverde needs to leave. I have a like a bet, or like, almost like a promise with one of my friends. If Valverde is at the wheel of Barcelona next year, I will no longer be a Barcelona fan. Dedicate my life 100% to Liverpool, maybe 90%, and then AC Milan. Again, if you know me, you know I love football, and I have multiple teams that I favor or that I support. But yeah, this is my biggest issue. Valverde, he needs to go. He needs to be out of there. This is my biggest issue. Philippe needs to stay. Valverde needs to go. And we need reinforcements. We need top dogs, top names, people that want to come. I understand Griezmann had a little bit of issue. I watched a documentary on him, but he needs to do this. Guys, thank you. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, make sure you click the subscribe button down here. Make sure you like it as well. Tell your friends about it. If you guys have any questions for me, leave it on the comments. You can also add me on Instagram, Prince Miggy. You can follow me on Twitter, Snapchat, Al Capone, Facebook, Miguel Molina. If you guys have something you'd like for me to discuss, maybe you're a fan of Arsenal, maybe you're a fan of Manchester United, this and that. I love talking about sports. This is something that I have in mind for the future with one of my close friends. Here in America, they only do American football, basketball, baseball, boxing, MMA, basically everything but soccer. Especially like the big names like ESPN and Fox Sports. They have the little ESPN FC, but let's be honest, those guys, sometimes I question their knowledge. And most of them have played at the highest level, but again, some of the things they say just leaves me mesmerized at how they try to think, and because it's so idiotic. And you'll notice, because the other guys, the ones that come in that they bring from like overseas, you know, they know a little bit more, and they contradict them all the time. Because I mean, football is just so simple, but people try to complicate it too much. So hope you guys like the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like it. There are other videos here that I did when I was younger at college. Make sure you go watch those. If you have any other comments, you like it, you hate it, whatever, just make sure you leave it there. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching.